lives within the boundaries of unlimited possibilities. Here's a word called importunity. Seeking something unceasingly, without shame, through perseverance, persistent pleading, asking with unparalleled boldness. If you want something, don't let somebody tell you no. If you got something inside you, people are going to tell you, you ain't all that. You ain't smart enough. You can't jump high enough. You can't whatever. I wanted to play in the NBA. Somebody told me the NBA meant no bobs allowed, so I stopped trying. Okay? But what I do now, I play basketball all the time, and it's like I got a YWAP league. I play with young guys. They think I can't play, and sometimes I can't, but never mind that. Next word is pertinacity, which is also known as stick-to-itivity. Some of these words you may not have ever heard before. It's a tenacious determination to see something through to completion. So many people start and they say, oh, this is too hard. I can't get this. I got obstacles. Oh, you don't understand. Oh, God must not want me to do this because he shut the door. Sometimes you got to open the door. Sometimes you got to knock on the door. Sometimes you got to take the wall down around the door and go through it. You don't quit. So many people are not finishers. The greatest thing you can ever see in an endeavor that you try to accomplish, you can say is, it is finished. You did what you came to do, and you pushed through, and you persevered. The next word is impetuous. Impetuous is kind of like you do something on a spur of the moment without thinking of the consequences down the road. You think, oh, it's in front of me, so I must have to do it. I've been guilty of this my whole life. Oh, this is a coincidence, and it must happen for a reason, so I've got to do it, and I jump into it without taking a step back. Be still and know wisdom. Be still. Slow down. Consider the consequences. You've got to go beyond, but one of the issues that beyonders have, or one of the things they need to learn, is to learn the wisdom of what's on the other side of beyond. Push, don't give up, stick to it, but make sure that you're going on the right road. Don't go to the right or the left. Go on the road you're supposed to be on. Tragedy is the seed and nourishment of triumph. That's easy. Patience is the practice of being still while seeking wisdom. Brokenness is the womb of greater capacity where love is birthed. Everything that you go through is going to take you to a greater place. I'm going to do now, I have, how many minutes left? We timing? I don't have a clue where we're at.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Okay, all right. There are many people in life, I read their stories, they just rock my world. Helen Keller was one of those ladies. Helen Keller was born, she got sick, she lost her eyesight, lost her hearing, and then she had behavioral problems. She acted up. Nobody could communicate with her. This Annie Sullivan lady comes along, tries to talk to her. She tries to spell words in her hand. It really doesn't work. But the one day Annie Sullivan gets like a brain burst or a heart thought. And all of a sudden, she takes Helen Keller at 10 years old out to a water pump. In those days, they had water pumps outside. She takes little Helen Keller, the blind and deaf girl, out there, puts her beside the water pump, starts pumping it, puts her hand under the water, and with her other hand, she spells W-A-T-E-R. Bingo! Helen Keller, oh man, she flew after that. She was unbelievable. All because Annie Sullivan listened to something. I kind of call it the Holy Spirit when I get brain flashes like that. It's like an aha moment. I know God's speaking to me. That's what happens for me. When your intuition, your gut feeling all of a sudden tells you something, you take notice. Maybe you could have thought, hey, I got to call somebody today. Maybe I got to do something. Fanny Crosby was a famous hymn writer. She wrote over 9,000 songs. When she was 6 weeks old, a doctor came and she had a fever. The doctor came and took a mustard poultice, which is like a gauze pad, put mustard on it. Mustard is a burning agent. So this quack doctor, who wasn't the real doctor because the other guy just happened to be out of town, this doctor comes, takes the mustard poultice, puts it on a 6-week-old baby's eyes and burns it. The baby's crying, The doctor's saying, oh, don't worry about it. It'll be okay. She recovered. She lost her fever and she lost her eyesight. At 6 weeks old, and it's like, there are some things you have no control over that are going to happen to you, and you can spend your life saying, how bad is this? Why did this happen to me? Why? Everything that has happened to you, you can turn into something good, into something powerful. Let me read you what Fanny Crosby said at a young age. When she was 8 years old, she writes, "Oh, what a happy soul I am, although I cannot see. I'm resolved that in this world contented I will be. How many blessings I enjoy that other people don't. To weep and sigh because I'm blind, I can't and I won't." That's a blind girl. A little while later, a pastor came along and he said to her, says, "I wish I could pray, and you've been showered with so many gifts, but I wish God could give you the gift of seeing." She responded at once, and here's what she says. "Do you know that if at birth I had been able to make one petition, it would have been that I was born blind?" She says, "Because that way, the first face that I would able to see was the face of Jesus when I get to heaven." This is a blind lady. These are people that have hard things going on in their lives. Jerry Bologna was a friend of mine. He was a triple murderer. He killed 3 people. His life was a horrible life. He was abused and beaten from his mother's patrons. She was a prostitute who would bring men home. He was abused as a young age. He was taught that he was stupid, that he was dumb. He grows up, he's in the streets. All he knows is hurt other people before they hurt you. He ends up killing 3 people. He does 17 and a half years in jail until all of a sudden they put him in a therapeutic thinking program. He starts to learn that not everybody's out to kill him. Not everybody's out to hurt him. He's trying to do good things. Finally, it took him 14 years to get out of jail. He did pass away a few years ago, but he went through something. He's a triple murderer. I don't want to write anybody off. I don't care what anybody's done. I don't care the vilest person that they are. I know a guy that loves everybody no matter what. Everybody. But if I grew up like Jerry, I don't know where I'd be today. There's a guy who was born with no arms and no legs. You may have heard of him. His name is Nick Vujicic. And if you ever get a chance to see anybody speak, go see this guy, bar none. Okay, I've seen lots of people speak. I took a busload of young people out to a church in Hamburg to see him. And Nick, when he was born, he's got no arms and no legs. When he's born, the mother, who was a nurse, the father is there in the birthing room. And the father looks and he says to the doctor, "Doctor, my son's missing an arm and a leg." The doctor turns to him and says, "Sir, your son is missing both arms and both legs." The father goes to get sick and runs out of the room. The mother looks. She doesn't even want to hold her child. Again, like my mom, abandoned, rejected in her first moments of life. So Nick, on the other hand, his parents got over the initial shock. Different people grieve differently. In the grieving process, let everybody grieve the way they want to grieve. Some people got a great big grin on their face. Some people, they just break out crying. But let them grieve their own way and give people some slack. So he grows up, he learns how to do things. He goes to school. When he's 10 years old, he tries to commit suicide in the bathtub because he's bullied in school. They don't pick him to play in any sports teams. What do you do with a guy with no arms and no legs? All he's got is a little foot on the bottom of his toe, like a little tiny flipper. So they mock him out, they bully him. But the thought that stopped him from committing suicide was the thought of his family grieving over his loss. He didn't want to put them through that pain. So he gets a little bit older. And there's a movie called A Butterfly Circus. I watched the original version. You can see it on YouTube. It's about 22 minutes long. And in the movie, he plays himself. It starts out, a little boy's in his old jalopy of a car, antique, going along with his father, and he says, "Oh, Daddy, the circus, can we stay?" It happens to be the man who's the head of another circus. They get there, and when they go in, the first thing they see is the freak show. Back in the day, they had freak shows of people that we would consider odd or didn't look properly or whatever. There was the bearded lady, the tattooed man, and it was just all kinds of people. And all of a sudden, this circus master is leading an entourage of people. He's got a top hat on, flowing tails. He's about this big with a cane. He stops in front of a curtain, and he bellows out, "Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to witness is someone whom even God himself has condemned, a man born without any arms or legs. I give you the limbless man." And a curtain opens up. And Nick, you see him there. You could make him stand on this. He stands in this. And his face is talking to you. His face is telling you, "I hate this. They're all staring at me. How come I was born like this? I'm the only one in the world. I hate this. I hate my life." And all of a sudden, some people, they gasp. Some people get sick. Other people laugh. They point. A couple of boys in the front row, because it's set up in an old farm territory, in a barn, excuse me, picks up a rotten tomato. Okay, there was a bushel full of basket of tomatoes there. He takes a tomato, elbows his buddy. He throws it. The tomato, thwack, hits Nick. It drips down. Now let's say this is you for a minute. You can't wipe that puppy off because you ain't got no hand to wipe it off, and the stench is dripping down you. Some people laugh. The boy goes to pick up another tomato. A man steps in and stops him. He walks up to Nick, and he starts to wipe his face. He looks Nick in the eye and says, "You are magnificent." Nick spits in his face. And the first time I watched this, I'm thinking, dude, he's helping you. Why would you spit in the face of somebody that's helping you? Because he's scared. When people have been rejected so many times over and over and over, they don't trust nobody. So when you're trying to help somebody and they just putting you off, you need to know they don't trust. It takes a long time to trust. Some of these guys that we've taken up on top of mountains, 10 years to get them to trust you. And some are still trying. Let somebody trust you. Don't give up. Stick to it. So the movie goes on. And at the one part of the movie, you get to go meet the circus performers. And there is Nick, he's standing there, and there's the world's most strongest guy. This dude is so diesel, he's got arms like this. So people come up and they look at the diesel guy. A little boy comes up and he says, "Oh, Daddy, Daddy, the world's strongest man. Can I touch his arms, Daddy?" And all of a sudden, the camera's on his eyes, and the little boy looks from the world's most perfect physical specimen, diesel dude, over to the world's most least perfect specimen. And all of a sudden, he looks like this, and he runs away. And you see Nick again. I hate this. His face is telling the whole story. So the movie goes on. And all of a sudden, this other guy, he has a circus where they don't put anybody down. There's no freak show. There's none of this, that, and the other thing. So they're having like a little picnic. And one guy goes to the back of a truck, and all of a sudden he screams. There's a body in the truck. It was Nick. Because the nice guy who called him magnificent, something clicked in Nick. Somebody may not respond to your love right away, but be patient, because maybe sometime down the road that love is going to be responded to and the trust will be built. Don't give up on yourself or anybody else. So all of a sudden, he wakes up, he gets him out of the truck, sits him down and says, "Oh, I can be in your freak show. We don't have a freak show here." "Oh, no, you must have." "No, you can stay here as long as you want. You don't have to do anything. Unconditionally stay here." So the movie goes on. And he keeps telling him, he says, "You know, there's a purpose for you. There's a value for you. You have a destiny after you leave this place. Everybody does." So all of a sudden, they're in a swimming hole. And everybody goes down to the swimming hole, and some people are jumping in. All of a sudden, there's Nick. Nick's got these two little toes here, and all these rocks are down there. So Nick is going down like this. All of a sudden, he calls out, and he goes, "Help me. Somebody, help me. Get me across here." Nobody answers him. And all of a sudden, he falls. He gets down. He's laying there, and he's saying, "Somebody help me. Help me." All of a sudden, the guy that heads the circus, the nice guy, the guy that called him magnificent, he walks by and says, "What's going on?" "Help me, I need to get up." He says, "Help yourself." He walks away. I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, dude, you can't leave. You called him magnificent and you leave him there? Sometimes the best thing somebody can ever do for you is to let you struggle on your own. Does it feel better to struggle and get something, to come through something and accomplish it, and to be able to say it is finished, or to have somebody hand it to you? Struggle through. Y'all heard the story about the butterfly, the guy that took the butterfly out of the cocoon. That butterfly never flew because the struggle forces fluid into the wings, enabling it to fly. We're the same way. The struggles that we have, the heartaches that we have, the broken hearts, a heart broken with healing oil poured into the middle of wisdom makes the heart bigger. A bigger heart is capable of more love. That's how it works. So Nick, he does struggle. He does get up. And all of a sudden, Nick gets up, and he's walking along, falls on a rock. He falls into the water. You're thinking, oh no, a dude with no arms and no legs. I mean, I know how I swim. He's down in the water. The camera's awesome. It sees the people up on top, and it's like, oh no, where's Nick? They go charging into the water. At that point, a miracle occurs. His two little feet, it's like a flipper. He can swim. They show him in water. He moves his shoulders like this, and he's got this little flipper thing like this. Nick can swim. They found out that he's got a gift after all, because everybody does. All of you got a gift. All of you got a purpose. All of you got something so special that you're just on the cusp of figuring out what it is. push through, go beyond. So all of a sudden at the end of the movie, they show Nick is up on this high trapeze thing, and the circus guy bellows out, "Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness a miracle. A man born with no arms and no legs will leap off this top platform into the water and swim to the top." That's exactly what happens. The crowd goes nuts. And near the end of the movie, you get to meet the circus performers again. There's Nick standing there, the strong guy standing there. All of a sudden, a father brings his little boy with no arms up to give Nick a hug. And at the end of the movie, I'm telling you, I'm getting the pre-cry now, because I remember seeing it. Two people with no arms, okay? You are somebody else's miracle. If your miracle isn't happening right now, be a miracle for somebody else. That's what Nick says. You know what? You can be whatever it is that you're called to be. You have a purpose, you have a value, and there is a destiny once you leave this life. There is a legacy that you leave behind. Leave it behind as a beyonder. All of these people have stories up, and we don't have time to talk about it, but there's a guy that climbed a mountain with one leg. He did it faster than anybody ever in the history of the world. All the 50 United States high points. There is a guy, you may have watched the movie Unbroken. He was in the water for 47 days. He gets released and he's tortured. And then after he's tortured and he gets released, he goes back to Japan to forgive the guy that tortured him. Wow, that's going beyond. Can you forgive somebody? Can you apologize to somebody? Can you go beyond what has ever been handed to in your life? Generationally, we all got stuff. We got stuff in our generations. Can you be the one in your generation who goes beyond what was handed to you? It's time. It's time. I think I've gone beyond my 20 minutes.
I don't think anybody notices.
There's a lot of people up here that, and I've got a lot of stories. If you would like the stories, I can email them to you. I've got them all. I mean, they're all here. There's so many people that, this is a local guy. I'm going to leave this book here, and I left it with the student government. Thank you, student government, for allowing me to come back. That was pretty cool. Let me finish on this. This book was written by a friend of mine who's a cancer survivor. He had cancer of the mouth, and they gave him a 50-50 chance of living. And he lived, and he decided to write a book. It's about a piece of clay. The illustrator of the book was a young lady. When she was about 18 years old, they told her she had ovarian cancer and she was going to die. Well, she didn't die. Then he says, well, you live, but you're not going to have any children. Today, she's married with 2 adult children. She's the illustrator of the book. This book was written by survivors. You could call them miracles, you can call them whatever. A miracle can happen to you. You can be the miracle. And I kind of look, you have a purpose in life, but there's a cross purpose. And what I mean by the cross purpose is you got peripheral vision. As you go through life, who needs help today? It's like I'm just walking down the street. When I left here the last time, some cool things happened. I had some really good conversations. I got to pray with 2 different people as I left here, and I parked down the street. I ask God to put people in my path that I can do something for. Because you know what? People have been standing up for me as I've been grieving this week. It's been hard. Mom got hospice. She had it at home. That meant we went and had shifts. And you watch somebody take their last breaths. They're on oxygen. And, you know, it was, at one point, Mom would still stand up. You'd stand her up and she'd have to go to the bathroom. And at one point, we had like a potty in her bedroom. Well, the one night she says to me, I want you to take me to my bathroom. I said, but Ma, how are you going to get there? She goes, you're going to take me. I says, okay. So I have this person. She's got oxygen, and you got a tube that you can move around with. So I'm backing like this. This is about our speed. I take her in, get her, and sit her down. And at that point, my wife went in. She's my wifey for lifey. She's awesome. And she went in, and they had like a conversation. I don't know if Mom had to go or not, but they had like a conversation. So all of a sudden, finally, I don't know how long it was, it's time to get up. I get her up, we get, and let's say here's the hallway. My wife says something about, she mentioned the word waltz. I don't know what that meant, but she mentioned the word waltz. And all of a sudden, I got my mom in the hallway, And I'm looking at this lady with the oxygen, and I'm trying to be careful, and I'm trying to get her back into the bedroom. And she says, waltz. And she stops, and she goes, a 1 and a 2, and a 1 and a 2. I'm like, not now. I got to get you back in bed. So we walk another couple of steps. We get into her bedroom. She does it again. A 1 and a 2, and a 1 and a 2. It was our last dance. She went beyond. Her whole life was going beyond the abandonment, beyond the rejection, helping other people all the time. Her favorite sayings were love and lollipops and mighty fine. Everything's mighty fine. Mighty fine. She said, this too shall pass. So I'll leave you with that. No matter what you're going through that's hard, it's a better thing right around the corner. Whatever bad thing you got, there's a better thing right around the corner. And when somebody does check out and they leave these earthly place, it's like, tell their stories to keep them alive. Take the best parts of them. Because we all got bad parts, but you know what? We got a God that has unbelievable grace, cutting you slack. Okay, that's what the whole cross thing is all about. It's like, cut people some slack. Whether you believe in that kind of stuff or not, you can cut people slack. So thanks for your time. Go do something nice for somebody.